Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another awesome podcast. It's Cody, Gotham's Caped Crusader. We're keeping it geekly. Yes, this is your number one stop for all things geek culture, from comic books to video games and so much more. And man, oh man, am I excited to bring you some hot news right off the press and some fresh DC comics. But first things first, how is everyone doing? I hope you guys are all having a fantastic Monday. I had a couple days off, just kind of getting back into the swing of things. Hopefully, though, we get the show back on track this upcoming Wednesday. And I do have a big thing in store for you guys. A little new addition to the podcast, at least visually speaking. You'll be able to see it on YouTube and Facebook, of course. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into our first piece of news. And it looks like Returnal is getting a brand new update, and it's going to be bringing a lot of cool features. Now, the Returnal Ascension update was announced at Sony State of Play on March 22, and this 3.0 update, which is going to be released March 22nd, is not only going to expand the experience with some all single player content in the form of a survival mode filled with super tough and all new monsters, but provide a campaign cooperative gameplay for the first time as well. Not a whole lot on the Ascension update as of right now, but as soon as March 22nd hits, you are able to download it for free and boot up with a friend and take on the Returnal world by storm. Now on to our next piece of news. It looks like WWE games could be developed by EA in the future. Now, according to a report by Fightful, WWE 2K22 could be a make-or-break game for the series, as WWE is considering a deal with Electronic Arts. Multiple sources have stated that WWE has preliminary discussions with EA about bringing the WWE game line over to one of the top gaming publishers in the world. Now, it's been rumored that WWE has been talking to EA prior to its 2016 extension, with more serious discussion kicking off after the disappointing WWE 2K20 arrival on the market. Now, I am not too well versed in the WWE games. I used to play a lot of them back on the N64 and PlayStation days, but to be honest, I haven't played many of the new ones. I know a lot of wrestlers in the actual wrestling series as it stands are leaving the brand and moving to, I think it's AEW. If I'm wrong, leave a comment down below. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. It seems like things definitely are taking a turn for the worse for the franchise, but 2K22 could be its saving grace. Now, with WWE rumored to be leaving 2K and moving towards EA, we could see some significant changes within the franchises. Microtransactions, I'm looking right at you. With that being said, who knows? The future has yet to be laid. We're going to be moving on to our last piece of news, and it looks like Super Nintendo World will be opening in Universal Studios Hollywood in 2023. Now, Universal Studios has officially announced that Super Nintendo World is coming to the United States next year, with some of the development struggling due to COVID-19. Despite these challenges, though, the park has persisted and development on its various attractions remains ongoing. In 2021, construction hinted at a major expansion to the park, which then introduced Donkey Kong. And then it was officially confirmed that Super Nintendo World would be getting a Donkey Kong content set to open sometime in 2024. Now, on Mario Day, March 10th, the official Twitter account for Universal Studios Hollywood did confirm that Super Nintendo World will be arriving at the LA park in 2023, with exclusive Mario merchandise being available at the Universal Studios feature presentation store soon. Now, while details are far and few, it is pretty cool that we are getting a Super Nintendo World over here in the States at some point in the next year. Let me know what your thoughts are and if you plan on attending at some point in the near future. Now, with that being said, that does wrap up This Week in Geek, but stay tuned. We got those fresh posts coming right out the oven. We're going to be starting off fresh with I Am Batman issue number 7, written by John Ridley, with art being done by Christian Deuce. Empire State of Mind Part 2 begins with Commissioner Beckett holding a press conference on the murder of Devlin Rubel, eventually delving into questions of the Strike Force Bat and Batman, in which Beckett just brushes it off. In Lower Manhattan, we find Batman and Detective Chubb going over Rubel's murder, in which Batman flat out says he's not taking the case. There's gray market dealers dumping guns all over the city, and it's fueling a gang war. Chubb and her partner, though, agrees to track these guns if Jace will handle the Rubel case. Now, Jace gets a break in the case, though, as he locates Rubel's head of security, Tyrone Burrows, and after he is on the hunt, we find Detective Chubb getting ready to raid a warehouse, running military-grade firearms, and showing us firsthand just how that department feels about the Strike Force Bat, aka the Strike Force Rejects. Now, after meeting Tyrone, Jace is off to investigate another lead, and this time it's something far more sinister, as someone special wants to make something beautiful. Now, I am excited to be back in New York City with Jace showing us firsthand just how different he is from Bruce and how he handles himself, and he is here to make a name for himself. With that being said, we're going to be moving on to our next book of the week, which is going to be Batman and Scooby-Doo Mystery Issue number 12, written by Shirley Fresh with art being done by Dario Bazulia. Too Many Crooks begins with Scooby-Doo and the mystery crew arriving at a hotel after beating a Hydra, and as soon as they reach the front door, the occupants of it burst out screaming that it's haunted by attacking birds and monsters. It's time to investigate the scene, and as soon as they split up, a menacing laugh begins to happen. From a frozen hallway with a penguin in it to a murder of crows attacking them, they eventually stumble onto a tentacle monster as well as something far more sinister. Now, after meeting up outside, they then determine that they're just a few miles away from Gotham and fold up a banner to make a makeshift bat signal. Without realizing it though, they ended up running into a convention for Gotham City supervillains, and they're right in the thick of it. Now, it's always nice to break away from the more serious tone of comics and kind of get into those feel-good kid comics, and I really felt that Batman and Scooby-Doo hit that spot right on the dot. Now, with that being said, we're going to be moving on to our next book of the week and our last one, which is going to be Batman Detective Comics issue 1056, written by Mariko Tamaki with art being done by Ed Mankey and Naopan. The Tower Part 10 begins weeks before the opening of the Arkham Tower, with Mayor Nakano's wife Kyoki being interviewed by Deb Donovan, with all the bad thoughts of what happened to her husband beginning to surface, causing her to quickly get up and end their talk. Now, this brings us to the current day, in which Psycho Pirate is explaining why he came to the tower and how him and Tobias Ware set everything up to control the patients. Now, with Scarecrow having Nightwing under his control, he begins planning his takeover of the tower, while we find that the Huntress has successfully been able to subdue Mr. Freeze. With Nightwing missing and the tower still taking hostage, it's time to take down the security system to let the police finally storm the doors. We find Stephanie, aka Batgirl, in the sub-basement A protecting a group of patients, as Dr. Meridian is also discovered by a group of party crashers. Before they're able to do anything devious though, none other than Harley Quinn makes her debut, explaining that she was undercover and then proceeds to call Batwoman. Now, we find the rest of the Bat family racing to save Nightwing, as the Scarecrow just threw him out the same hole that Dr. Ware was just thrown from, all bound up with no means of escaping. Now, things are not looking good for Nightwing, as Batwoman's grip on him slips and she drops him, effectively letting him fall to what appears to be his death. Now, with that being said, guys, that does wrap up our comics for this week. I'm excited to announce we're going to be dropping a brand new episode this upcoming Wednesday with some interviews in between, so be sure to check those out on the YouTube. Most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.